Hi, and my name is Manjeet Rege. I'm an advisor to Black Hills IP, and I'm also at University of St. Thomas. I'm a department chair there. So we'll be talking about Power BI. Last time we spoke about Tableau, um, and Tableau, as we can see from this particular chart, one of the leading tools in performing visual analytics. But if you look at the one at the very top there, Microsoft. Um, so Microsoft has a tool called Power BI, and we'll be spending the next 45 minutes or so talking about Power BI in general here. Um, So what is Power BI? Whether your data is a simple Microsoft Excel workbook or a collection of cloud-based and on-premises hybrid data warehouses, Power BI lets you easily connect to your data sources, clean them, model your data without affecting the underlying source, without affecting the underlying data source. So Power BI can be simple and fast, capable of creating quick insights into your data. But Power BI is also robust and enterprise grade, ready not only for extensive modeling and real-time analytics, but also for custom report development. So it can be your personal report and visualization tool, but can also serve as the analytics and decision engine behind group projects, divisions, or entire corporations as well. Now, let's talk about the different versions of Power BI that are out there. There is the Power BI desktop. And if you are going to be following along this webinar in a hands-on manner, you should have downloaded Power BI desktop. But a word of caution there, Power BI desktop only works on Windows computers. So if you are a Mac user, Power BI desktop is not something that will work for you. Power BI service is a cloud-based visualization tool. So basically a Power BI capabilities embedded cloud-hosted service. And to access this, you can access it from any operating system. So you could be on a Macintosh computer and still be able to use Power BI service. But Power BI desktop, as I said, only works on Windows computers. Power BI mobile is basically an app on your phone that you can use for consuming visualization reports that have been created using Microsoft Power BI. So as I said, Power BI service is a cloud hosted service, and it is based on the licensing access that you have. So if you go to powerbi.com, and this is not something that we are going to be spending time over, but I'm just kind of letting you know that if you go to powerbi.com, you can sign in, and once you sign in, you have access to Power BI service, depending on the license that you have. So if you are using it free, you can create your own visualizations using your own space in the cloud. But if you have a corporate license, then you could do collaboration with other people. So the work that you do within your Power BI desktop could be published to Power BI service, and other people, that is your colleagues at work, can then um, collaborate and work together. So as I said, this in this picture, Power BI desktop service and mobile, a typical workflow for doing work here is people start off usually doing work with Power BI desktop because that has a lot more capabilities. And then they end up publishing that to Power BI service. And then people can consume it directly on Power BI service or look at it from the Power BI mobile. But Power BI desktop has the most capabilities in terms of creating visualizations and reports. So if you look at this Venn diagram here, um, this talks about things that you can do within Power BI desktop and within Power BI service. And as I said, Power BI desktop is what we are going to be spending our time on. So we are assuming that you have that particular data set that we have shared with you already. And you also have Power BI desktop installed, and then you're ready to go. So let me quickly show you that data set that we are going to be using. So this particular data set, sales data that we call it, it is for a fictitious e-commerce company and a typical sales, right? So you have order ID, order date, year, um, cost of sales, right? So for every order, channel, product name, and other attributes that you can see here. So first thing that I am going to be doing is opening up Power BI desktop. So this is how Power BI desktop, when you open it up, looks like. I have not yet imported data into the tool, but that sales data Excel file that I showed you, I am going to be importing that into this particular Power BI desktop. So when you first arrive here, you notice that at the bottom, it says, page 1. So you can actually create a number of different page reports. Right now, this is empty because we don't have data in there. On the top left, you see there are these 3 tabs. There is report, there is data, and then there is model. And we'll talk about each one of them. So let's first get the data imported within the tool. At the top here, you see it says get data, and then it says, if you're going to be importing this from Excel, you can just click on this option. But just to show you the different data sources Power BI connects to. So if I click on get data, you see these are the different data sources you can connect to. So if I click on more, there you go. So these are all the small and large data sources that typically companies might connect to. All the big names are here. If you click on online services, right? So if you have subscribed to a particular data provider, like let's say a common example is Google Analytics, for example. So you have a website and people come and click on it. And if you have subscribed to that, you can directly import data from that particular online service. So you have a range of options you can connect to. What we are concerned with is getting data from that particular Excel file that I showed you. So I just clicked on File, and let's click on Excel, and let's say Connect. It is now asking me, okay, take me to the place where you can import this particular data. So I navigated to that particular directory on my computer, and I selected that particular file. So when you do that, this navigator shows up. So this is telling us that that particular file here, Excel file, has this one Excel sheet inside of it. So if you select this option here, you can see a preview of the data on the right. So this is the same data that I showed you directly in Excel. Now, you can, if you want, get into transform data mode. So what transform data is when you are importing data from different data sources, the data may not be cleaned and prepped for visual analysis. So transform data will allow you to do those steps and then import the data within Power BI. In this particular case, in the interest of time, that particular data set is already cleaned and prepped and ready for us to go. So let's not click on transform data, but just letting you know that that particular functionality is available to you. So let's click on load, and our data will be imported within Power BI. And when that happens, on the right over here, I should see, there you go, I should see that table data one. So if I expand this arrow over here, I see all of the field names, right? So these are the same field names that we saw in this Excel file. So now let me revisit something that I mentioned a few minutes ago. On the left, you see these different tabs. Currently, I am under the report tab, but if I clicked on, let's say, the model tab, right? So let's click on the model tab. This is showing you the database schema, the database design. So let's say you had a number of tables, like a order table, an items table, and there could be a relationship between them. They are connected using the order ID, and maybe the customer table, right? So these different tables could be connected to each other. How they are connected to each other is something that you can see under the model tab. And then depending on how these tables are connected, you can, when you are creating your visualizations, you can perform aggregations that span across the tables. So you can basically, travel across the tables, perform some calculation, and show that particular total in your visualization. So it is important to get an idea about the structure of the data, and that is what the model tab allows you to do. If you click on the data tab, this is your data, right? What you saw with Excel, now you're seeing this inside Power BI. But more importantly, you can also get to see the data types associated for each of the columns. For example, order date, right? So if I look at this in Excel, I can see that the format is MMDDYYY. But if I look at order date within Power BI, it is formatting it differently. So if I click on a table, you see this format. So I can change that. Now, when I clicked on order date, here at the top, it is telling me that the name of the column is order date, but I can also get to see the type of the column. So the type of the column is date. That means the tool has recognized that this particular column is a date type. Now, if the tool had recognized this as only a text and not as a date, then I cannot do aggregations. I cannot ask the tool, show me profit by quarter, show me profit by month, show me profit by week. Because if it treats it only as a text, right? So you see this text option, it will only look at the information in there as plain text and not as a date. So it is looking at as a date, and that's a good thing. If you look at order quantity, you see whole number is the type. If you look at sales, it is looking at as a decimal number. So a tool can get some of these things wrong, right? And if it does get it wrong, before you perform any analysis, we need to first come here and make sure that each of the columns are getting recognized correctly. All right. So let's click on report, and I'm back to my blank canvas over here. So I see all of my columns. I now see all of these different possible visualizations that we are going to be creating soon. Let me quickly give you a tour of the different possible options. So you see there is a stacked bar chart. There is a vertical bar chart, which the tool likes to call it a column chart. Then there is a line chart option. There is an area chart. Then there are some fancier options. There's something called a waterfall, the donut, and many others as well. You could do an integration of R and Python as well. So that is something possible to do here as well. So let me start off by showing you this particular visualization called card. So if you click on card, an empty square appears. So what I have said is I would like to create a card visualization. So card visualizations are typically used for, placing them at the top of the dashboard for indicating certain key performance indicators, like showing you that this is what my total sale is, this is what my average sale is, right? Something at the top, almost like a scorecard. So I have right now created an empty card visualization, and to this I am now going to be adding a particular field that I would like to showcase through that card visualization. So let's say I would like to show total sales as a big number that appears right at the top. So I can take sales, and you see this fields option. So if I deselect So when I click over here, that's not what I wanted. Let's get rid of that. But right now, this visualization is not under focus, right? So when it is not under focus, you see these options change over here. So make sure this card visualization is selected. So when that is selected, you see this option field. That is, which field do you want to add? Well, I want to add sales to it. So let's take sales, drag it and drop it over here. So this is showing me the total sales. So it is, so if I click on this drop down over here, you see it is doing a sum. So basically that sales column that we had, it is doing a sum on the entire column and showing that over here. Now, what if I wanted to maybe perhaps format this a little bit? I don't want to show two decimals. Well, fine. Let's click on sales, and you see at the top, the options change, right? So when I selected sales at the top, some of these options changed, and it is asking me, how do you want to format this? So let's say I would want to put a dollar sign. So if I select this, a dollar sign appears, and this is asking me how many decimal places would you want to show. So right now it is at auto, but what if, you know, these are big numbers, I don't want to have decimal places. So if I enter a 0 over here and hit enter, um, so that formatting over there has changed. Good. Let me make this a little bit small, and let me now format this particular card. So make sure this card is selected, and I am now going to go over to this format your visual option. Now here it says category label on, which is this. Let me turn that off, and I'm going to make this look a little bit better. Let's click on general, and where it says title, let's turn that on, and I'm going to give this a name like total sales. So that appears there at the top. The other thing that I want to do is for this particular title, I want to give this a background color. So right now the background color is white. So let me give it like a gray background like that. And then let me center this as well. So that comes in the middle. All right, let me minimize this. If I click under effects, you should see an option called visual border. So if I clicked on, which means turn the visual border on, you should now see a nice border around this particular card, right? So that's my first card visualization. Now, what if next to this, I would like to place another card? Well, all of this work that we have done, we don't have to redo all of that. I can just copy paste it. So if I select this, Control C, and if I go here, Control V, I place it next to that. But this time I don't want to do total sales. I would want to do average sales. So make sure this is selected. Now go over here under fields and select average. So now this is average sales, but I have a wrong title, but I know where to fix that. So now I'm going to go to format your visual, under general, under title. I'm going to give this a name, AVG. Sorry. I forgot G there. Right? So now next to this, let's put another card. And this time, let's say I would want to show total profit. Well, if I want to show total profit, then the field needs to change. So I'm going to remove this out. I'm going to take profit, drag it, place it over here. So this is now summing the profit, so which is what I want. But the title is not correct. So I'm going to go to format, general, title, and I'm going to give this a title, total profit. Great. Next to this, let's say you wanted to know what is the highest sales value you have had, right? What is the highest sales? So if I do Control C and come here and do Control V, so for this particular card, I have the right field, but what I want to show here is the highest sales value that I have in that sales column, right? So I have the sales column. What is the highest value that is here? So I can go to this drop down here and I can pick maximum, right? So because I picked maximum here, this is the highest sales value that I have. So let me give this the right name for it. So let's go here and call this highest sales. Next to this, let's say you wanted to know how many transactions do you have. That is, you see every row is a different order ID. So how many such order IDs do you have? That is, what is the number of transactions you have had? So let me take this, place it over here, and I want to count the number of unique order IDs that I have. So I'm going to remove this. I'm going to take order ID, place it over here. And so if you see, if I click on this drop down, I have count and count distinct. So if you want to know the number of distinct order IDs, I would select this, right? Because in this particular data set, order ID is not repeating, but if you had that same order ID getting repeated, then count and count distinct will give you two different answers. So this is telling me that I have 15,000 unique orders. Let's change the title of this. So I'll go to format, title, and let me call this number of transactions. Great. So I have my scorecard at the top ready. And now, I can add more stuff to this. So let's put a line chart. So make sure, first of all, that you click in this blank area so that none of these cards are pre-selected, right? And let's create a blank canvas of a line chart. So let's click on that. And so this blank canvas of a line chart appears over here. And let's now show perhaps, let's say, sales by time, right? So I have order date. So what I want on the y-axis is sales, and what I want on the x-axis is the date. So let's take order date, put that on the x-axis, and let's take sales, put that on the y-axis. Now, what you're seeing right now is sales by year, by quarter, by month, and day. So you can actually, change the level of aggregation here. So here you see year, quarter, month, day. So it was initially showing me right to the day level. So when I clicked on this up arrow, I was able to drill up, and I went from day to a month. If I further drill up, I'm now gone up to the quarter level, right? So right now, so this is showing us sales by year and quarter, but maybe I don't like the name, the title, sum of sales. How about only having it call itself sales by year and quarter? So let's see, I should have, or actually if I go to this first tab where it says sum of sales, if I just double clicked on this and called it sales, that should take care of that, right? So I have sales by year and quarter. To be consistent with our formatting, let's put a border around this so that this looks good. So make sure this is selected, go to format, and then let's go under general here, effects, visual border on, and I see a border around it. So that looks good. Now let me show you something else. Many times you want to show like a trend line or like a average line. So if you select this particular visual and then click on this third option, which says add further analysis to your visual. If you click on that, so see, there is this option called average line. So let's click on that, add line. So you see that line got added. So this is the average sales over that particular period that for which we have the data. And then of course, you can do a lot more formatting of the line. So right now it's a blue line. If you don't like the color, you can change the color to anything else you want. You can give it a label and say, okay, this is the average line and things like that. But so that really helps people figure out what they are looking at. So this line is going to adjust now, right? So when you go further down, so this is by month, this is by day, right? And you see that the average is accordingly getting calculated every time. Okay, next to this, let's do another line chart, and let's put that over here. And what we can do is, let's do profit. So I would want to do profit on the y-axis. So let's take profit, put that on the y-axis, and on the x-axis, let's take order date and put that over here, and let's step up. So from day, let's go up to the month level. So this is showing us profit, right? And let me change the name here. So just like before, I'm just going to call this profit. But here is something cool that you can do. You can do forecasting. So if you select this particular visual and go to this third option here, that is add further analysis to your visual, you see this second last option where it says forecast. Let's turn that on. So it is now forecasting your profit for the next few quarters. So let's actually expand this out so you can see the details of how the forecasting is getting done. So right now I'm showing profit by month. So this is forecasting for the next 10 months, right? And maybe that might be too far out to forecast, and you might only want it for the next perhaps 3 months. So I can say that 3, and I can apply, and that forecasting horizon has changed. Now what this is saying, ignore the last, is, you know, sometimes we get incomplete data, right? So you see there is a dip over here. So and that could be because I don't have complete data for the last month, and I don't want the forecasting to be based on this incomplete data. So if I say ignore the last month, so ignore the last 1 month, and I say apply, so it is ignoring that, and it is basing the forecasting right, by ignoring the last 1 month. And as I said, this forecasting is happening in real time. So as you go down to the day level, it is actually forecasting. You cannot see it here, but if I drill up, right, you see all this. So now it is forecasting for the next 3 quarters because I specified 3. But if I go to the month, it is now forecasting for the next 3 months. So keeping in line with our formatting, I'm going to go here and add that black border because it looks good. So we have that. Now, donut charts are not great in, in terms of visually communicating. And I have spoken about that in the past webinar about why donut charts aren't that good. But let me show you how to create a donut chart. So let's say you wanted to create a donut chart of profit by quarter. I can place that over here, and let me add profit and order date to this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take order date, drag it over here, and then I'm going to take profit and then add it over here. So right now this is showing us by year. And you see the order date has year, quarter, month, and day. So if I want to right now go from year to a quarter, I can drill down as I showed you before. So I can go. So this is profit by year and quarter, clearly not great to look at. But if I click on this option here, this one, these two double arrows, this is showing us, regardless of the year, show me for the first quarter, typically what is our profit? Second quarter, usually what is our profit? What had happened earlier, when I clicked on this option here, was that this was showing me quarter and year separately, right? So like quarter 4 2011, quarter 4 2012. I don't want that, and this is just very bad to look at. But when I clicked on these two double arrows, it is saying, okay, so right now I'm showing you by year. I would like to show it to you by quarter. Go to the next level, and the next level is a quarter. And this is the way perhaps this looks much better. So let's make this a little bit smaller, and let me put the border around it. All right. Next to this, let me create maybe a bar chart. So let's select this option here where it says clustered column chart, and I am going to create a bar chart of, let's say, I want to have some category here. So channel, so if I take channel and I put that on the x-axis, on the y-axis, I need some numeric field. Like that is, we've already used sales, we've already used profit. I can probably use, let's say, cost of sales. So if I take cost of sales, put that on the y-axis, this is the cost of sales for every channel. And let me put our border around it like before. Now, all of this so far, looks impressive, but, in a typical dashboard, you also have interactivity, right? So how do you interact with this dashboard? And to do that interactivity, you can add some filters, for example. So filters in the Power BI world is called a slicer. So you see this option here with a small, funnel icon on it. That's called a slicer. So I'm going to create a filter so when people click on it, all of these would react accordingly. So let's click on this slicer option, and to this, I'm going to be adding some categorical field. So one possible categorical field that I can think about is, let's say, manufacturer. Let's take manufacturer, drag that over here. Now, when you look at this manufacturer options, right? So you have created a filter, a slicer, as we call it. So from now on, whenever I select anything, you see everything is reacting. So for that particular manufacturer, what was the total sales? What was the average sales? What was the highest sales? How many transactions do you have for that particular manufacturer? What was the profit by quarter for this manufacturer? What was the cost of sales for this particular manufacturer? And you see, it is also doing this forecasting for you as you are selecting each one of these. So that is one filter or a slicer. Let me add, let me actually also make sure that I put this black border around it so it looks good. Let me put another. So let's take the slicer again here and place that here, and here let me put perhaps product category and drop that over here, and let's make it look good. Okay, so now you have two filters. So somebody can select a manufacturer. So this particular manufacturer only gives us products in that category. This one gives us or manufactures products in those two categories. So if I was interested only in that category, I can select that, right? So I have now two filters in action. That manufacturer, that product category. So I'm really drilling it in. And for that, I'm able to see, you see, I change and everything is reacting based on that. Now, sometimes, when you design your interactivity, you also have to think about, do I want everything to react when I change a filter? Or do I want something to not react at all? So let's say I did not want these two to react when I change the filter, but I wanted this bar chart, this one, and the scorecard to react, right? But I don't want these two line charts to react. That is, they remain static. I can do that. Or, if I didn't want the scorecard to react, but I wanted everything else to react, I can do that. So how do you do that? How do you specify what changes and what does not change? So let's see. So if I have to think about manufacturer, let's do this. So make sure my manufacturer filter is selected. So I'm on the manufacturer. Right now I'm on product category. So I'm going to click on manufacturer. And if you go up to format, you see edit interactions. So if I click on edit interactions, each one of these now has these options at the top. So what I'm perhaps going to do is, when I click on this manufacturer filter, I do not want the scorecard to change. I want everything else to change. So I'm going to say none over here, none over here, none over here, none over here, and none over here, right? And now let me come back here. So now when I click on these, you see others are reacting. All of these are reacting, but the scorecard is the way it is. That has not changed at all. So you can, design your interactivity based on what you want to react when a user selects. So let me go back to the way it was, right? So now everything is back to reacting. Great. Now, let me show you one quick other feature here. You see this, there is this option called Q&A. So what Q&A does is it is using natural language processing and artificial intelligence to answer questions for you. And this is really a cool feature. So I'm not going to be touching this. This is a great dashboard that we have created. So let it be the way it is. But at the bottom here, I'm going to click on new page, right? So this is page 1, this is page 2. And on page 2, let's create this Q&A. So I'm going to click on this Q&A, and we can now ask a question, of course, pertaining to our data. So if I ask a question like, what is the total profit? Well, it directly does that for me. Or show me profit, sorry, show me profit by product category, right? We have product category. So show me profit by product category. And as I'm doing it, I mean, as I'm typing, it is already doing it for me. Isn't that amazing? So this is, and then you can actually even be much more specific. So show me profit by product category as a pie chart. And it does that for me. So now that this has been created, you can take this and move it to the report that you were creating. And so this is the power of natural language processing in use. There are other things as well that one can do. You can kind of set an alert within your dashboard that whenever sales drop below a particular amount, let's say you have an inventory, it goes below a particular amount, you should get an email, right? And those things can be easily done as well. So this was Power BI desktop, and you can publish this to Power BI service, as I mentioned here. So powerbi.com. So if you go to powerbi.com and log in, because you don't need to have the pro license. Even with a free license, once you log in, right now you see that I don't have anything over here. But you see, I have no dashboards, no reports, nothing right now. But this work that I have done with Power BI desktop, let's say I would like to publish this. So I am, of course, logged in. So if I publish this, if I click on this publish option, do you want to save changes? All right, fine. So let's call it my Power BI, and let's save it. And it is asking me, when you're publishing this to Power BI service, it is getting published to your own workspace So here you see my workspace, which is right now empty. So this is where I would like to publish it. Great. So select. So it is now currently publishing it. Success. Great. Let me enjoying. Yes, I'm assuming all of you are also enjoying it. So now I'm going to go here to Power BI service, right? So I created something in Power BI desktop. Now I'm here, and now under reports, you see my Power BI. So when I click on my Power BI, this is the same report or a dashboard that we created using Power BI desktop. But this is cloud-based right now. So if I had the pro license, my colleagues can then look at this, right? And I can share it with my team members. So that is a typical workflow. As I mentioned, you create something with Power BI desktop, you can publish this to Power BI service, and if you have the free license, then only you can view it, nobody else can. But if I have the pro license, then I can share it with other people within my organization as well. So this is that page 1, and this is the page 2 that we had. Everything is now within the cloud. So there you go. That was Power BI. There's a lot of content you can talk about with Power BI, but it's a great tool for getting started with visually analyzing your data. With that, let me hand it back over to Tom.
All right, Manjeet, thanks so much for the session today. This was great, and I was excited to see with your affinity for pie charts and donut charts, for the donut chart to actually get a little love in the presentation today.
Exactly, right? Once in a while.
Right.
Because I do pie charts and donut bashing so much, so I thought since it's
cut them a break.
to Christmas,
the
yeah,
holiday
nice.
Season. That's
exactly.
Right. No, this is great, and I know for us here at Black Hills, we use Power BI a good amount to drive business operation and some data analysis that we do. I guess generally speaking, we got the great presentation about Power BI today. Last time it was Tableau. As folks on the line can probably tell, each has their strengths and their things that they're good at and things that the other one might be better at. I think the most important thing that I can say, at least one of my takeaways, is that these tools are great, but if you take anything away from some of these discussions, the focus initially has got to be on your data. If there's anything that's going to improve the outcomes, it's going to be of the analysis that you're doing. It's going to be the quality and the work that you put in on getting that data ready on the way in. I kind of think that there's like 3 points over the course of this seminar, at least that I've taken away. One is good planning up front for understanding what your inputs are going to be, where the data is coming from, and what the outcomes are that you want to go after. Second, data preparation. So working on the data that's going into those inputs and making sure that it's formatted in the way that's going to get you the output and the results that you're looking for. And then only after you've gone through those 2 steps, what tools are you going to use to visualize and, I guess, to leverage the analysis on your data. Manjeet, would you kind of agree with that staging?
Absolutely. You're bang on. Yeah.
Great. Yeah. So All right. For those that are familiar with us and have been here for a while, you know, here at Black Hills, we place a high value on technology, whether that's to empower our people or our customers. Data science, computational intelligence, all the things that Manjeet's been talking about are at the center of that. And, you know, it's incredibly important for us that what we do isn't just kind of behind the scenes. These technologies, we believe, are the future for this industry. And as always, you've heard me say it before, we want you all to be there with us. We're learning along the way as well. All right, so we're at the end of the hour, so I'm going to leave everybody with that. Thanks so much for joining today and for attending our data science series. Please keep your eyes open for some new webinars that we're going to be announcing for next year. The learning and the technology discussions will continue. Thanks so much, everybody. Have a good one.